trying not to find that I'm being on film.
Right.
Starting. 4 o'clock, and you're live. You're good? Okay, thank you. I'm calling this meeting to order. Clerk, would you call the roll, please, when you're finished typing?
Chair Merson.
Here.
Commissioner Palmer.
Here.
Commissioner Livermore.
Here.
Commissioner Levinson. Here. Commissioner Hamel.
Here.
Councilmember Falco.
Present. And the clerk hopefully has all of your names so that she can put you in the record as well. We're starting out with 15 Susquehanna. We had another water bill appeal that came in before you, but they asked to be put over for our next meeting, so there we go. So I will read your appeal into the record. On behalf of the homeowner of 15 Susquehanna Street, Ortona Capital LLC, United Student Rentals Incorporated is requesting an appeal of the water bill for the property. The appeal is being requested due to the claims of excessive water usage at this property throughout the year of 2021 and already through the first portion of 2022. The property is 15 Susquehanna, consists of two-bedroom units that were occupied by local tenants through the majority of 2021 calendar year. The readings that were received by the water department did not bring alarm to them to send a high usage card, which appears unusual as there were months showing the usage could have been 3,000 plus gallons a day. We do understand that high usage alert is only sent if there's water going through the meter for 7 days consecutively for 24 hours a day, but what is alarming is how this doesn't happen with the 3,000 gallon a day water usage. Maybe a policy change is in order that would benefit the city of Oneonta residents. We have taken it upon ourselves to conduct our readings of the property since the beginning of March, and the numbers we're collecting are not matching the numbers that the water department has been collecting. The water department did come to the property to check for leaks after we did our own check as well. They stated there were no leaks in the building. Then we did have the meter tested by the water department as well and discovered discrepancies in their numbers compared to the numbers we read before and after the testing. When I read the meter before it was taken to be tested, it was reading 772.237.05, but the start reading for the first test that the water department did was 772.240. This is a 2.9 gallon difference from when the meter left our property and when they started the first test. On the second test conducted by the water department, the end reading was 772.259.92, but when they returned the meter to the property, I did another reading at the meter and it was 772.259.46. Which was actually 0.46 gallons less than their documentation for the testing. Pictures of the meter readings we conducted can and will be supplied during the appeal. You're welcome to do that. We also have copies of the testing meters, and I can read the response by the water department.
Are these the original? These are the pictures of the meters that we've read the meters all the way from March 8th to actually the beginning of this week.
Great, thanks. We'll certainly put those in the record. And I'll pass these down. They basically are, they show various readings on various days. So I believe it was Jonathan Williams who responded to your question. First, I hooked the meter up to the testing unit and turned the water valve on to allow water to the meter, but without opening the downstream valve, which would allow water to freely flow through the meter. Next, I opened the downstream valve to allow water to pass through the meter while watching the meter head turn to get the reading to the nearest 10-gallon reading to start the test. I ran a few gallons through the meter to get the meter head to read 77240.00 before starting the test. I started the slow test, which consists of 2 gallons a minute for the amount of 10 gallons of water. I watched the storage tank and I turned the shut off to off when the gauge on the tank reads 10 gallons. The meter reading was 772.249.88. I wrote down the readings. I opened the valve to flow the water to get the meter read out to be 772.250 before starting the next test. I started the fast test, which consists of 15 gallons a minute for 10 gallons of water. I stopped the test when 10 gallons was reached in the storage tank and the meter read out 772.259.92. There was only 20 gallons of water running through the meter for the test. The meter passed both tests per the 2% plus or minus standard. The meter The meter reads accurately. I removed the meter from the testing station and reinstalled it back in the residence. And then the pictures of that.
Would you like a copy of that?
Sure, I believe I do have the email, but, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So first of all, I want to say to all the appellants, and thank you, I should have said this before I even started on your property. Two things about the City of Oneonta appeals. First of all, we have suspended any penalties until we decide the appeals. And then you have 30 days to either pay the bill or work out a payment schedule. Some of you, the payment is significantly higher than what you've normally paid. And we do have, if it's more than 3 times your normal bill, you can set up a payment schedule with the finance department. So there are no penalties accruing for your bills, even though it's now more than 60 days after your bill originally went to you. So by appealing, we stop all penalties. Number 2, the City of Oneonta has a billing system which is called conservation pricing. So the minimum is the least you pay by volume. As you use more water, you pay more and more by volume. That allows our rates, which the comptroller says should be approximately $1,500 for both water and sewer a year. Our rates are approximately $400, $500, our average residential rates. What that allows us to charge big users, the hospital, the colleges, a lot more. They basically fund our capacity, and then residences pay significantly less than what the comptroller says we should be charging for our water and sewer. That's one of the reasons that a bill will go up significantly, is because when you use more, you pay more per gallon. When you get over the minimum, you begin to pay more and more per gallon. So that just explains one of the, people say, my goodness, my bill is so high. Well, if you use a lot of water, then your bill is going to be significantly higher than it would be if you just used under 37,000 gallons a year, or even close to that. It goes up very incrementally, and then all of a sudden it shoots up. So in your case, what we have done, which helps, and in that we're a college town, and we often hear from rental properties, which this one is, we have set up a sort of a spreadsheet that gives us information about your usage. It's not every single day of the year. If you would like, we do have readings for every single day of the year.
I have another copy if you'd like that too.
Okay. I did give them the one. So you don't have to give me some.
No, I have that one.
Okay, and everybody, you're going to get one of those.
Okay.
This is every single day of the year. There are 12 reports, one for each month. We go around once a month and read meters. We read them remotely, and there's a thing called an ERT, an electronic reader, that is attached to your water meter, and that's why we don't have to go in your home anymore. So those readings are, we have daily readings. So when you look at your readings, I see there were very little usage until mid-February. An average household uses approximately 300 gallons a day. That's the state standard, 300 gallons a day. So you see that sometimes you use less than that. Like March 2nd, you only used 120 gallons. On March 13th, you used 280 gallons. But there are other days when you use significantly more, like March 20th, you used 2,210 gallons. And there were some that were quite high. I think the highest was 4,800 gallons on October 28th.
Yeah, I see the 5800 on.
Oh, is there another one?
5880 on November 23rd.
Yep, that was Thanksgiving.
So I guess I understand the high usage card. So this whole week here, right? So from, I see that you put it down
It
here.
actually is continuous use on the day that we read the meter. So it's when we go around and read electronically, if there has been a 24-hour a day without stopping.
From when you read it.
No, from the day before we read. So let's say we read on Tuesday, August 28th.
Okay.
So from the 27th to the 28th, if there's no stop to your water usage, we get a little flag.
Okay.
And that's why we send what's called a high usage card. It isn't because you have high usage, it's because you have continuous usage. We just changed the name of it, because it was confusing. It's now continuous usage card, and it says, this means that you have a leak. Because when it never stops, it means something is leaking. Oh, I should also.
So from that whole week in November there, right? So like the 19th all the way through the 27th. All right, so we have 2,200, 1,500, 1,600, 2,500, and this is per day. So that many gallons flowing through a meter per day, there has to be something that would have red flagged that amount of water, because that means that there's water
But
running through that meter.
we probably didn't read it that week. We read
So
it during that, we read it
It
sometime
won't
during
red
the month.
flag.
No. Not unless-
Okay.
If there's any stoppage, if the water ever stops flowing, then we don't get a high meter card. And
So I guess my questioning is how are these homeowners able to monitor if there's a high usage, if there's not going to be any sort of red flagging for them? The only way to
you should just
know,
listen for your toilets running, but if it's almost always a toilet.
Those kind
so,
of numbers, though, are not possible if there's not continuous usage.
That's not absolutely true.
It
It
is-
depends
those
on
are-
how many leaks you have, how many toilets are running.
Well, this specific property, we've done multiple meter lockout tests, and there are no leaks in the house. And you have a 3/4 inch pipe that is only capable of delivering so many gallons per minute.
Well,
So if the number for usage during the day exceeds the capability of the pipe coming into the property, that points towards a meter malfunction.
and we didn't find that,
It doesn't,
unfortunately,
the meter that's in this property, though, is a completely digital meter.
no, it's
There's
mechanical.
no, but there's a computer board processing that. It doesn't have to be a continuous issue. It could be intermittent, and that could be why you have 120 gallons on one day and 5,000 gallons the next day.
Well, that's.
That 5,800 gallons of use, of water flowing, means that there would be 2 faucets and a shower running full blast for the entire 24 hours to even come close to 5,800 gallons, though.
If you look at this chart, this is from the AWWA, the American Water Works Association. You can get 5,000 gallons by a leak this big.
but that's the thing, is we have been through this property numerous times. There have been no leaks. The water department checked for leaks. There were no leaks found. There have been, I brought my forms, if you would like to look at them. The entire year, we document what our maintenance does at the properties. The entire year of 2021, there were 2 plumbing repairs done, and it was wastewater lines that would not have affected the meter coming into the building.
No, it wouldn't. But
So
again,
there
our
were-
experience is that a leaking toilet, and you have at least 2 in the property, can create, even if it's intermittent, a leak of the size that we're seeing at your property.
So in November of 2021, you guys are stating that there was 81,000 gallons of water used at a 2-unit property. These are local tenants. These are not students. These are people that work, okay? So they're not home. They had jobs. They're working. They're local tenants. So when you do the math on that, that would mean that there were 112 gallons of water running through the meter for 24 hours straight, all 30 days of November. And the only way that we're red flagged is if it's a day before you read the meter. I some sort of change implemented.
The city is considering putting your usage online so that you can look at it anytime you want. I mean, we're almost there. We are thinking about replacing some of the meters, but they're Badger meters. They're not electronic. They're
It's got a
mechanical.
digital display on it.
That one is,
So at some point, that mechanical process is converted to an electronic process. It's a digital
Oh,
readout.
that's the urge.
And
That's not the
it's a
meter.
digital display, and it's sending a digital signal out, so it's not an entirely mechanical device.
All I can say is, all we have to go by is the meter. And our.
And you're saying that there's no possibility at all, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the meter is malfunctioned. I've been at this property plenty of times. I've conducted multiple meter lockouts. As recently as this week on Tuesday, we did a 1-hour lockout, and the meter didn't move at all. So you're saying that it must be a leak in the house. When there are no leaks in the house.
Not a leak that is dripping in outside of the pipes. What it's doing is it's flowing through the pipes.
If it flows through the pipes, the reading on the meter changes physically while you watch it. So if we watch the meter for 1 hour, and that number on the digital display does not change, there's no water moving in the house.
Well, I'm not surprised.
True or-
Probably
true
check
or-
all the toilets. Board members, do you have additional questions for these?
No, I'm learning a lot.
I actually have a question for ourselves. So I'm looking at the pictures that they provided to us, just in particular on the 9th. I pulled just a date, which happens to be one of them. And the difference from the 9th to the 10th, their reading difference of about 90.07 gallons, whatever it is, 0.5. Our reading shows 100 gallons.
That's not a big difference.
But it is, that's what they're saying.
It
They're saying,
is. It's not
if there's a
matching.
difference today for 10,
Oh, no, I
how do I
think
know
it's
tomorrow's not 1,000? That's what their
And
point is that
Correct.
they're getting across.
And I guess my other thing that I just wanted to bring up, so the meter was tested on the 17th. So we're getting these high meter readings, okay? So let's see, we tested it, so, I mean, I know that we're disputing last year, but just for instance, I have here in front of me, Mary Ann had sent me the usage for February was 89,000 gallons of water, okay? They pulled this meter on March 17th and tested it and plugged it and hooked it back up. My meter reading for March was 2,610 gallons. So if you remove the meter, test it, recalibrate it, whatever was done to the meter before it was brought back to my property, and now I'm getting meter readings. So March was 2,610 and April was 3,190. How do you go from 89,000, January was 104,000, and then all of a sudden the meter's pulled and tested and the meter readings are more reasonable?
I think you're being more careful now.
It's not carefulness because I don't live at the property, my tenants do. My tenants know nothing of the situation because I want to know if they're using the water. So I haven't said anything to them about the situation.
Can I ask you, when you do a lockout that you're talking about, how do they know about it then? How do they know not to use the water?
We simply say, we have a plumber at the building, please don't use the water until we say that it is okay. We don't tell them what we're
Right.
doing.
And that's
because
really
we're
all the
testing.
lockout is. Do not use, everything is off, right? So there's no movement in the house. The tenants have been made aware that for the next hour, whatever the time that we've given them, there should be zero water usage because we're conducting a test, right? If they open a faucet, that would be an obvious movement on the meter, right?
Right.
And in that scenario, we would then go check the property, see why there was water moving.
Okay, so then to continue my question, which I started before, and then you guys jumped in, was, is there an allowance difference on our numbers here? Is there something that the city looks at and says, this, let's say this $100 difference that I showed 90.07 from the numbers that we have from their pictures, that they're saying the dates are. So they're pretty close to our number. Is there like a percentage that we go by that it's, oh, well, it's because it's a 5% difference, it's a 2, like, how does this, I guess I've never asked this in all my years here. How do we come up with this? It just sends us a reading daily that this is the numbers that this meter
Mary
is?
Ann is here, she'll be happy to answer
Yeah,
this.
it depends on what time did they read it, because it depends on the time of the day.
And the time is on the photo. I did include the time on the photo. So I'm not sure if you have it documented what time you were able to read.
They're different time.
So on 3/9, they did it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon,
Different time.
from 3 to 3:10, and
This was,
I don't know when our time readings are, I guess.
our time readings
That's what I'm
are,
saying, like, how do we
12
know
to-
that
12
from what they're
midnight to
doing to
midnight.
what we show on paper? That's what I was trying to
yeah,
figure out.
midnight to midnight.
Okay.
So do you guys have to drive by the property to get the
Yes.
reading?
Mhm.
So you have somebody driving by the property at
Yeah,
midnight?
Mary Ann?
You drive by the properties at midnight to get readings?
No, not at
No,
midnight.
not at midnight, but she does it the same time of day each time she reads, so it's going to come out, you know, it's 24 hours. I mean, go ahead, Mary Ann, you can
Right.
explain how you do
I
it.
mean, I read towards the end of the month. So I might start my day at like 8:30 a.m. and I drive by, but I don't know what time they're checking their meter. So the reading won't be the same as theirs.
So are you saying that you drive by Mary, I didn't even realize that Mary Ann did that, God bless you. That you drive by the same property every, every other week?
No, once a month.
Once a month, okay. So you drive by XYZ's property at 8:30 every month?
Well, not at that exact time.
That's what I'm trying to figure, I'm trying to figure out how do our readings, because you're saying, well, we'll put them on, besides this case, we're gonna put them online, possibly the city's gonna look at putting these online to read it. Well, if you read it at 6 o'clock at night, and I go out to my property at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my reading doesn't match this. So we're gonna be off no matter what, that's what I'm trying to get at, trying to figure out how do we meet up.
If an online is an option, I don't know if there's a possibility that you can include what time you did the reading.
It'll tell you online.
Oh,
It'll tell you online.
So
Right,
I
but
mean,
the
that's-
information being available online isn't necessarily to make sure that all the readings match up.
No, the
It's for, you
information
might
online
be,
is.
they might have been aware that there was an issue
Issue.
in the first or second month, rather than at the end of the year, with
Absolutely.
a million gallons of
What I'm
water
saying
used
is,
in
if
one
you look at
year.
your reading today and you're like, oh, I only used 100 gallons today because you want to see what your tenant did it. Let's say you drive by at 8 o'clock at night,
Correct.
and then you look at the reading online, and you're like, wait, there's 1,000 gallons. Between that 4 hours, they could have run a washing machine, taken 45 showers,
Correct.
and left the hose on outside. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to see where the disconnect can be stopped as well, because when I look at this and you send me a letter saying, well, this was the meter when they pulled it out. I mean, I don't know that because I don't have pictures from our people, but this was the reading when it pulled out. When it went back in, it was even less than what it was before you pulled it out. How is that possible? How is that possible?
Yeah, that I don't know how to answer, but because our meters are mechanical meters, I mean, the internal parts of them
Moving, right.
they aren't measuring the flow by an electronic means. There's a wheel
spinning,
turning
correct.
inside. and
This
that-
meter in this property is absolutely measuring. When that wheel turns, there is a reader, most likely reading a magnet that passes. There's not a doubt in my mind, there's not a dial and a gear on this meter. It's completely digital. Look at the pictures. There are no dials. There are no,
We don't, but
There's no,
Mary Ann,
what
we
he's
don't
saying
have
is there's
any-
no turn like an electric
all of
meter
our
would
meters
say.
are mechanical.
It's Is it a census meter? What location, I'm sorry?
15 Susquehanna.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
I don't know. what it-
That's not mechanical. A mechanical meter has a dial that turns and the numbers.
I don't know if it would be helpful to see a color photo. I do have one on my phone.
No, we have a.
Okay.
Our-
Because it's 100% digital. There's,
It doesn't have the number 10.
Well, oh, it's a census. I don't know. Maybe it would be useful for us to have somebody from the water department come and put this off for another month and let them answer the questions with these proper ways.
We could, they're still here, I can get some, if you like.
Okay, go ahead.
269 is mine as well, so.
We did know that many of your high usages were weekends and breaks from school. Thanksgiving week, many were weekends. That's one of the reasons that there were a few that were midweek, but they were almost, well, very few. And, our expectation is that's when the house was full, the school was out.
Even that theory doesn't necessarily make any sense. Have you ever had a house full on a holiday at your place and every faucet in the house was open for that entire week just because you had company?
What was it? It isn't the faucets that are open, it's the toilets that are running.
It's not, you keep saying the toilets, the toilets, the toilets.
The toilets were
If
not
there's
running.
if there were toilets running, I would have personally been there to repair them. And I have no reason to come here and say that I didn't repair them.
We don't know
if I
when
had.
you actually went to
It's not-
visit the house.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Marge. It's not just particularly that the toilets are running, that there's a leak underneath the mechanism, but when that flap doesn't close completely all the way, it can still
When
leak
if
out.
that flap doesn't close completely all the way, the meter
Will run.
will move.
Absolutely.
There have been multiple tests conducted, multiple checks of every fixture in the property. The meter's not moving.
I will tell you that I have a tank on my first floor bathroom that is 3 years old, and the flap does not close, and I can hear it run. If it doesn't stop at a certain time, I tell the kids, you didn't flush it the right
Oh, I
way,
agree.
go fix it.
I agree.
And all they do is tap it, and then it's closed, and it's fixed. So it can happen that if it didn't close properly and nobody caught it until the next flush, it's fixed, but it's still running at that point.
But enough to run 81,000 gallons of water.
Yes, if you look at that's why she gave you this, just so you can see. And I only know from my own personal experience in my own home.
And
That's
mine
why I'm
too, I
saying
mean,
that.
that's my experience too. That's one
I
of the
don't
reasons-
disagree with you that why is there such a difference that I'm seeing too. That's why I'm asking the questions I'm asking, so. But it can as well be just that little flusher.
It can, but it can be a malfunction in the
I'm
meter.
not disagreeing with you that it could possibly be
Okay, well,
that.
we'll put this on hold until our guy from the water department comes, and we'll talk about our property at 269 Main Street. Okay, well, then we'll go on.
No, that's
No, that's not even.
That's you too?
That's me as well.
Excuse
I'm
me,
his
I've got a
representative.
very important meeting at 5 o'clock.
Okay, so
can I reschedule
we'll
for?
move on, because we have, we'll get to you. Just wait a second.
Yes, yep.
Since he has a meeting at 5 o'clock, it's gonna, we have a lot of discussion. So this is, we're going to look at number, we'll look at number 6,
15
which
Brown.
is Brown Street, which is,
Main Street.
and let me hand out. So I also did a calculation on the days of the week that would make a big difference in this case. I'm going to pass these down, and one for you, sir. And then I also have our spreadsheet. So don't go away. This shows the high usage days. Did you also pass that down? And then I have an email from you to the city of Oneonta. You're Mr. Ward. Okay, great. And then a response Oh, and I should be sending that down to you too. Put this down. So, similar to our discussion with the folks from 15 Susquehanna and 269, we heard from your meter testing specialist, because you have a 2-inch meter, that there were multiple toilet leaks that were identified and pointed out to your personnel.
And that is correct. But that doesn't mean that over the past 3 to 5 years, we have 1, 2, 3 very large bathrooms. So a toilet leak is not uncommon. It's not like a 2-bedroom apartment where all of a sudden you have a toilet leak. It's the same as the hospital, same as anywhere else. The thing is, I don't have enough copies for this many people, but if you take a look at from 2019, 2018, all the way up to current year 2022, we have paid almost the same within $300 to $500 to $600 each year. That doubled last year. Again, they came in and they did the meter test, and the meter is right back to where it should be. The other part of it is, if you take a look at our highest year, which was 2018, we did over $11 million in sales. And again, in 2021, we did $8 million in sales. The machines that use water are only to do a glue mixture. Water is added for the viscosities. So we're talking, $3 million in sales, which accounts for every box that we make, difference, and the water bill is double.
Yeah, and again, you've heard our discussion about what happens if you have toilet leaks.
I understand that, but you can't tell me, I've been listening to this conversation, and it's really quite frustrating to me, because everything comes down to a toilet. I think you're really wrong when you're looking at manufacturing. There are, I'm going to tell you, 5, 10, 15, 20, 21 toilets within our facility. And I can guarantee you at some point, one of them is always leaking. Guarantee it. No matter how many times we fix it, the next day, it's a no. So a toilet leaking in the size of our facility or a hospital or anywhere else, there's always something. So it's in that average, coming up and across.
All I can say
And
is
you're
that
right,
this is
now we have 2 toilets leaking, and that's why my bill doubled, is what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that based on your daily usage, it was it was a few days, then it would go back to normal, then it was a few days, and it would go back to normal, and it was a few days, and it would go back to
Okay.
normal, and then in the beginning actually September, you had a lot of usage, and then it went back to normal. So.
In September, they came and did the test.
What did you say?
Excuse me?
What did you say about September?
September is when they came back, they came in and did the meter test. But here's the thing. If it's a toilet, and we have high usage for 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 8 to 10 days in a row, we're a 4-day facility. So that means the machines are not using water at all. So that means we have a lot of toilets leaking. And you sit there and shake your head, yes.
Well, all I can say is that all you need is a flapper not closing on 2 toilets, and you're going to.
These are industrial toilets, they don't have flappers.
He's saying it's regular flush, like school.
Excuse me?
Like a school toilet bowl you're talking about?
Yes.
Well, I don't know where if your meter tester said you had multiple leaks, what are we supposed to say? I don't know.
That we used twice as much water last year, doing $3 million less sales How is that even fair to a company, to an apartment renter?
We're a utility. We can only go by our meters. If we don't go by our meters,
Something
what
is
do we
not,
have?
obviously something's not right, that's why we're all sitting here.
But is there no possibility that your meters are wrong occasionally?
That's why they're tested. If they were wrong, we would find that out. That's why we ask you to test.
That's why we're sitting here, to find out why they're wrong, and to tell you that they're wrong. But you're gonna sit here and tell us they're not, which I'm telling you.
Your tester didn't find that your meter was wrong. When you had your
We
meter
have
tested.
never, I could have made a swimming pool out of the place with the amount of gallons of water that you're saying we use. It's impossible. It really is. And if, I know to you it's nothing, it's a pleasure. I honestly don't understand this group
This is
whatsoever.
totally out of sight from what you paid other years,
Yes.
Yeah, it's double.
Yeah.
and yours also, right?
Way more than double.
Theirs is more than double.
Can you tell me what days of the week you're open?
Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday. And those are all the 0 days that are on here. So just as a for instance, 6/6 of last year was a Sunday, and 200 gallons were used according to the reading. And 6/4, wait, I just lost my place. 6/4, 400 gallons were used, and that was a Friday.
We run Monday through Thursday, 10 hours a day.
Right, so.
But that's what I'm saying, I'm trying to help you out here right now.
You used 400 gallons.
6/25 is a Friday, you did use 0 gallons. 0 gallons on the 26th, which is a Saturday. And on Sunday, it shows 200 gallons used.
Have someone on the
So,
phone.
you know, we can, just like NICEAG, we can only go by our meters. And that's what we
What
have.
good does that do a company? Let's be honest. If you're going to answer, we can only go by our meters, what good does that do for every industry that is in Oleana, supporting Oleana, to come up with an answer that is, oh, it is what it is?
Well,
That's
if you,
poor. Let's be honest. If it was your house, you would say, oh, the toilet was wrong. If it's an industry, I mean, we've had tough years the last couple of years, and all of a sudden I've got a water bill that's double. It makes no sense.
well, I can't reduce your water bill and not reduce every single customer in the entire city. Because unless we go by our meters, we have nothing.
Well, if I may,
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I mean, I think everybody kind of knew that their water bill was gonna go up this year, and these seem like they're very extreme differences, and no technology is 100% foolproof, you know? Perhaps there could be some kind of leniency given in these extreme circumstances, and then replace their water meter with a new one.
We would be happy to replace the water meter with a new one, except that their water meter tested correctly, and it's their water meter, and we don't, I mean, a 2-inch water meter.
I'm just wondering, isn't there some way that
If
that
you
the
do-
city can,
If you do, then you have to reduce everyone, including the colleges. Our water department is, our water meters are all we have. And if we give leniency, we have to give leniency to everyone. We're a
well, what's the
utility.
point of having an appeal if you can?
Exactly.
Because we
The
have
code
some that we're going
is
to,
not here.
that we are going to look at differently, only because it was well, you'll see when we get there. But, and at the last meeting, we found that there was a leak in a building and it didn't go into the sewer, so we reduced their sewer bill. These are the kind of things we are able to do. But we are not able to just say, oh, well, let's forget about the meter. We'll just charge you what you charged last
But
year.
if I have history proof, year after year, from the city of Oleana, give me, showing the usage versus payment versus month, year after year, and then last year is a disaster. I mean, our busy times are 1st of May till 1st of November. I got a water bill for February that is just absolutely absurd. It's bigger than any other month in our busiest year. And, yeah.
I'm trying to understand you and side with you in my brain. However, that's why I asked you what days you're open.
Yeah.
One of these dates, 7/25, is a Sunday, and it shows 6,500 gallons.
How is that possible?
That's what I'm asking you. So, what kind of machines do you have? Do your machines leak when you're not there? I
If
don't
they
know
did,
what
it'd be all
machines you
over
have,
the
I'm
floor.
sorry.
No, they do not leak. 6,500 gallons on a Sunday. 6,500 gallons on the floor of the production area would cover the whole floor.
And then there's the other days that I gave you. I only looked at a couple just to see where there could be a disconnect, but, and the days that you say you're typically closed, you do have zero, like there's nothing used, there's zero on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday typically.
That's the way it should be, right?
Right. And you don't have, I'm assuming you don't have, do they have a regular meter, like a house meter?
But they have a 2-inch meter. They have a larger meter.
Yeah.
And that's why it has to be tested by an outside firm. Why we did not test that meter. You know,
Could there be some kind of, like, is there any kind of investigation process or maybe something where, you know, we kind of put this on hold for a little bit and maybe replace the meter and then, you know, monitor it for another month or two and see if, you know, you can identify, is there something that's actually leaking or is there some kind of weird glitch in the meter?
this is what we're looking at.
And I can also show you, since they came into the meter,
I'm just, you know, I
everything
want to,
matches
you know,
back 3 years.
I want to try and be
months
helpful
before.
to
I
the
understand that,
residents
but
of
Whether
our
when will you take the meter out,
No,
say that again to
all of our
me?
meters.
September?
All of our
I
meters.
believe it's September.
October 27th.
October
That is,
27th.
that is not
Should remember that.
consistent with
I need
the
reading
information.
glasses, sorry.
Is there a meter in there? How much it's paying?
No, they were on site and tested it.
No,
It didn't get removed,
it
you're
didn't get
saying?
removed, but they
No.
put them in,
It says the meter testing specialist, EJP, were on site on October 27, 2021 to test the 2-inch meter. Multiple toilet leaks were identified and made aware of the personnel.
But after that, we're back to 10,000, 10,000, 17,000, which is typically normal.
Except 11/22, you got 6,300,
Yeah, okay.
4,500 the following day, 4,600, 55 the following week.
What did you say then?
And-
4,500 then?
Yeah,
That was after the testing.
yeah. Mary Ann has some open water on phone.
Oh.
Like, she has some open water on phone.
Okay.
The census.
In November of last
Okay,
year?
so,
Yes, of
let's-
20, do you have this? Long-
I do,
Okay.
I'm looking at mine.
So if you look at that, it was October 27th that they said they did the testing, and you had 1,700 gallons that day, 2,600 the next. But of course, they said there were a couple of leaking toilets, which you were gonna fix, so of course, that'll take a couple of days, I'm sure. And then it reduces a little bit, but then it starts going back up on November 22nd. You have 6,300 used, 4,500 used the 23rd.
Okay, but some of this can also be how many machines we're running. The more machines we run, the more water we use. I mean, that's just plain history. If you look at the biggest sales year we have, obviously, we ran more machines and we have a higher water bill and a higher usage. So, I mean, looking at it daily, I would have to go back and look at my production to find out how many machines I'm running. If you have high days, then I'm probably running 7 or 8 machines that take water. But these machines probably don't use more than 70 to 80 gallons of water a day. Only thing it is to mix into the glue to keep it a certain viscosity. It's the only thing it's for.
He's definitely a lot of that, for sure.
I don't see from the data that we
Bless
have
you.
that we can make any other decision. I just don't think we can. I don't know what happened, but something, your meter was working properly and you used a lot of water several days, more than like,
Okay.
and we don't have anything else we can go by.
It is sad. It really is. To be honest with you, it is, you want to know why companies don't even own it? Because of
Go
the
somewhere else and you'll
meter
pay
and
more for
toilets.
water.
Well, maybe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Sorry.
This,
I
the
was trying to
charges
go by
for
what
this
he was
year
saying, but
make Bert eligible for a payment plan. So Ginny, we're going to have you get in touch with Mr. Ward at Bert Rigid Box.
Okay.
And you can set up a payment plan with them.
Okay,
He left before I had a chance to say that.
okay.
So I make a motion that we deny this appeal.
I second it.
Any further discussion?
Chair Murphy?
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer?
Aye.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamlin?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, the next item we have on our agenda, we're ready for you guys again. We have someone from
Chris Henderson from Corn, Maine. So we purchased the census meters from Chris.
Okay, so if you would come up in front and sit next to these folks, they have some questions.
Sure.
I don't know what question.
You had a question about the
And
census
actually, you know
meter?
what we might do?
Okay.
We might let you guys sit outside just for a minute. We aren't making a decision about you.
No, I actually wanted to bring something up for Mary Ann, but I mean, can you ask the gentleman on the phone, since he knows the census, are they fully
Electronic,
electronic?
or are they mechanical?
What's inside of the meter?
It's an electrical mechanical meter. I shouldn't say mechanical, electromagnetic meter.
Electromagnetic.
There is no
Like I said.
moving parts in that meter. That's what makes it so accurate.
There's no moving parts in the meter.
That's what makes it so
That's what
accurate,
makes
but
it
that's
so
what
accurate, but
also is what could allow it to fail electronically and digitally.
Oh, absolutely. But so can a mechanical one. I mean, if there's any
Absolutely.
questions, it can be tested.
This is what I'm saying.
The iPros have the industry's best warranty for accuracy.
but when it was tested, because you're saying that the tester found nothing wrong, his numbers didn't match the numbers from when he took it to when he brought it back. So therefore, there's something wrong with the meter.
It wouldn't match because they ran water through it to test it.
So when they
No,
brought
it
it
didn't, it
back,
didn't match from the number when it left the testing facility here in the city of Oneonta and the number when it arrived back on the property, having only ridden in the truck between locations, was different.
when they took my meter and they brought it to their facility to test it, when they got it here to their facility, their start number was almost 3 gallons higher than what my reading was at my property. How is the number supposed to change just riding in a vehicle? There's no water going through it. And
I
when they,
can't speak to that. I've never heard of that happening though.
because
I mean,
there's
it's-
something wrong with the meter.
There's nothing in there for it to sense, so I don't know how it happened. I don't know.
Would you agree that that
Really
would,
started or,
would you agree that that would qualify as a malfunction in the meter?
if it happened, I don't know that it could, so I can't speak to that. I'm sorry.
But if it did, would you agree that that would be a malfunction in the meter's ability to read?
I guess that would be a question for one of the engineers at Census, because I've never seen it happen, and I'd rather not, speak to something that I'm not that familiar with as far as it ever happening. I've never seen it happen. We've sold thousands and thousands of these and never heard that happening.
And there's never, ever in the history been a defective
I can't
one that
speak
is
for
less
Census.
defective.
I'm saying what I've sold. I am just, the New York State rep of census.
You could have it tested by an
Outside.
outside.
Which is another cost to the homeowner after we've already paid the city $50 to test it and was told that it was correct, and it indeed is
If
not
it came
correct.
back inaccurate, then you would be refunded.
But I do have a question for you, Mary Ann. I don't have any further questions for this gentleman. I apologize for wasting his time, but I do have a question for Mary Ann.
So, thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Okay, we might be calling you back, but we probably won't.
So I would like to just backtrack to the red flag detection. You had stated that it was only red flagged if you read the meter and then there was water flowing through it for 24 hours after it was read. But I have an
Before it
email-
was read.
Before it was read. But I have an email from you saying that the leak detection flag is not based on how much water flows through the meter, but solely on whether the meter has registered any flow whatsoever during every hour of every day for a period of 7 days. Okay? So do you have a system that red flags you, like you said in the email?
We have a report after we read the meters once a month
So
that will
Okay.
tell us.
So these homeowners are only going to be red flagged, like receive a card after, if it's when you read the meter.
After we read it. But when we do get the new system, you'll be able to check it.
Check it, right.
Right, and that's when.
So, I mean, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm wasting my breath here because I already feel the answer that is coming, but I am wholeheartedly believing that there is a technical error in the meter or the reader. I'm not sure. I know that you think it comes down to a toilet, but I have a master plumber here with me. My husband is head of maintenance at our company. We've checked this property numerous times. We have checked this meter every week since March of this year. And after they pulled the meter and tested the meter, all of a sudden my readings are normal.
Hearing what our appellant is saying, I make a motion that we, at no charge, provide them with a new meter. And it is not an electronic meter. It is
I
one of
second
the
that
badger
motion.
mechanical ones,
Sorry.
so that it is more
I second that motion.
amenable to.
So then, I was going to make a request that happen anyway, that we get a new meter. We would prefer to have a mechanical meter.
Yeah.
So now, can we give an allotted period of time to monitor this meter? And if there is normal
You
water,
always have, you always have a chance.
listen, if there is normal water consumption during this allotted period of time, can we then rediscuss the ridiculous numbers that are on the?
I mean, we have
No,
a,
because it's very hard for us to go back. These are the numbers we have, this is the meter
Go.
we have.
That's
I understand.
That's nonsense. You don't
Let's
understand.
vote
That's
on this
nonsense.
motion. Do I have a second
What's
for
the motion?
providing them at
What's the
no
motion?
charge,
The one that
providing
you-
them at no charge a mechanical meter?
Okay, I second that motion.
Additional discussion?
so there's no possibility that there will be a reduction on this gentleman's
I don't
bill?
know, we haven't voted yet, so relax.
Okay.
I mean, don't relax, but just wait until we get through this part
Okay.
of it. Any? Okay,
Chair Hartsook?
yes.
Commissioner Palmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes.
Okay, so at no charge, you will get a new meter.
Okay.
The reality, though, is that whatever happened last year, you can't, whatever happens this year, it's because you're watching, it's because you're careful, it's because, and it's because we're out of COVID, and so there aren't people at home as much as they were before. I mean, last year was weird, the year before was weird. All we have is the meter. That's all we have. And I understand your
And the
frustration,
gentleman who
I
we
hear
just
what you're telling me.
had on the phone, it clearly said that it's digital, it's not mechanical.
I know,
It can fail.
but it didn't stop working, it just it recorded what went through the meter.
It would have been better to stop working.
Well, you might feel that way. But meanwhile, I don't, these 5, me and these 4 board members get to make that decision. I don't make it, I have, all I can say is, as I answered Councilmember Falco, if we throw out the meters, then we have nothing.
That's not a true statement either. Nobody's saying throw out all the meters,
No.
that every meter in the city is
Well,
bad.
except
But if it's-
everyone who doesn't want to pay their bill, all they have to say, well, they got their meter changed, and they weren't charged what was on their meter, so we want the same thing. And
Well,
we-
nobody's expecting to have their meter changed or
Yes.
replaced just by walking in and
And
saying, I don't like my
Our
water bill.
company manages almost 40 properties. I'm not here disputing 40 properties. I'm here disputing
2.
2. I mean, it's not, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm
No,
very
we
respectful of what you guys
are.
are doing.
I'm just
But,
expressing to you that we have a fiduciary responsibility to the city
no,
as official board members of the Board of Public Service. We have to look at the information that we have, we hear from you, we hear from our own experts, and we have to make a decision. We haven't voted on it yet, so we have been listening to what you say, and we're cognizant of the difficulty of what you're reporting.
Right now, we are gonna go for new meters for them, right?
We just voted to go for a new.
All right, start with that. Now what?
I don't know, where are we, board members?
I guess if I was sitting over there, I would feel differently, but I know, sitting over here, I know what you're up against too. I think you should take the new meters and then go from there. Let's see what happens.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying, give us a leniency and look back at this bill and
I don't know
then
how
make a
you do that,
decision from
though.
that to show that we're in average, but I'm not trying to be rude, please don't think I'm being
No, of
disrespectful,
course.
but you're gonna be watching the meter, you're gonna make sure that your tenants are not over exceeding the water bill, because
I know,
I would be on top of my tenants like I've been in the past,
so
so,
we do it. And
it just,
I mean,
that's
one
hard
thing
to
we can
do
do, one
when,
thing we are allowed to do, if we feel that the meter was faulty, and there's some evidence that there's some discrepancy, if the meter was faulty, we can go back 3 years and do an
and do the
average of
averaging, I'd like to do that.
I'd like to do
make
that.
a motion to do that. So that we can give them an average, because there definitely is a problem with this.
Definitely.
I personally think that there's a problem with the meter. Whether there is or not, I don't know, but the numbers are off from our own numbers. Both of us were sitting here doing numbers as we were trying to listen to you, and there's a discrepancy on multiple dates from what we have in our readings to what they show. And I understand there's a time difference, but the meter reading went in, one meter reading went in and came back at a lower reading, so I don't see how
Yeah,
that's not
that's the
a
one,
possible problem.
that's the
Yeah.
one discrepancy that makes
Makes concerns. So I'd like to make that motion that we go back 3 years and do an average, and you have to do all that paperwork, sorry, Marge, but
It's okay,
It's okay.
no, that's all right, no, that's fine. The more information we have, the better.
The better it will be.
The better, so we're good,
and average it out.
right.
Yes.
If that's your, would you like to make that?
I'd like to
motion?
make that motion,
I'll
please.
second that motion.
Okay, we don't know what that number's going to be because we don't have your, last 3 years, so we're gonna work with the finance office. They will make a calculation. You'll have 30 days to pay that bill. If it's remarkably, well, it won't be because it's 3 years, so.
I think that'll be very helpful to you,
So we
because it's
have-
gonna average you out instead of this just
We
large
have a
bill.
motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Okay?
Chairperson?
No.
Oh, Jimmy Palmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamlin?
Yes.
Okay?
and I'm sorry, will we get, how will we be notified? Will we get a new bill in the mail, or?
This is Ginny Lee,
Ginny.
she's our finance
Hi.
officer. You'll get something from them.
Okay, you'll mail it to us?
I have a clarification. What 3 years am I to average?
We're gonna do 20, 19,
and
18.
And I do believe,
Okay? All right, so now we're gonna move on to, we're gonna take a break from you guys just for a minute because this gentleman has been waiting a very long time, and so have you.
you're good.
So we're gonna move on, just be patient. So you're 87.
Yes.
Street. We have let me give you, here's 87 Street. Okay, so. So here's the spreadsheet, please take home, and here. Oh, I'm sorry, pass these down. Pass this down. So it's my understanding that you and your brother are living in the house.
My brother moved up to Maine on the 1st of January.
Oh.
I have been the sole resident from that point to today.
Great. So if you look at the spreadsheet, you did not use very much water until June.
Which my brother moved back into the house, I believe, May of last year.
Okay, and then you sporadically used a lot until, right up until December. If you look carefully, there's like June 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31, 32, right, most of June, you were using a lot of water, and then you went back down. As I said, 300 gallons a day is pretty standard. And then you were just up and down, up and down. So I feel, I don't need to say again what we've been saying right along.
It is not a leaking toilet, and I can tell you that as a fact. I have a hearing processing disorder, so I can hear every single water fixture in the house at all times. And if a faucet or toilet is running, I will immediately hear it and I will immediately fix it. It cannot be a running toilet.
Okay, well, we don't know what it is.
Yeah. That is the answer I've gotten several places. We've had people
You
come
know what
in.
it is, we didn't know what
Yeah.
it is, but
The
you did have your meter tested, I believe.
yes, we've also had multiple people come in and look for leaks to no effect.
And the meter was okay? Do you have a meter report? No.
The meter appears to be working correctly now. The thing that confuses me is I have not had any spikes in as you can see, spikes in water usage that go from like for example, I use on average roughly 40 gallons of water a day. I use far less than the normal number because I am currently a sole resident. And when my brother was there, we both had very similar water usage patterns. So I've not had any of these spikes where it's gone to over 2,000 gallons of water a day since I received the water bill, which I find rather interesting since that has been 73 days of continual monitoring. I have not changed my water usage patterns. In fact, I have at points intentionally increased my water usage to see okay, if I take a bath, is there a leak in the tub? If I change something with the clothes washing machine, does that change the amount of water usage? And so I'm honestly quite baffled about where this water usage is coming out. The theory that my mother and I have discussed is that, and I don't see it here, whereas with the monthly water bill that we took a look at, it looked like the increase started in earlier than June. And we had road work outside of our house
Oh, yes, you did.
on the month that started. So we were wondering if that might have caused some error with the meter. And the main reason why we're so baffled by this is that the 301,000 gallons that were used in the last year it has doubled the lifetime water usage of the house. It's just really confusing, especially since, as you can see, we aren't using the lower numbers. Those are like normal household usage for us. And as you've mentioned, the normal household usage is like roughly 300 gallons. And as you can see here, like my brother and I together, we would use maybe like 70 or 100 gallons of water. That was not like us conserving water. That was normal. We generally don't like. I'm sorry because this is going to sound a bit gross, but we generally don't shower every day. Both my brother and I were going through rather severe bouts of depression over the last year. So, and as part of that, as people are aware, you don't take as good care of your hygiene as
Sorry
possible.
about that, but
I'm just mentioning it's very confusing that increases. I don't doubt that the meter is reading correctly. Unlike these folks, our meter is mechanical, and while I could see it unintentionally slipping a few gallons here or there, I cannot see it going at the hundreds of thousands of gallons through a small mechanical error, especially over the course of multiple days. I'm just wondering if there would be any sort of way to verify that this was done,
no, it's too late now. I mean, it was last year, right?
yes,
So we can't really go back. And that's the
I get it.
challenge that we have, is that as a utility, we have a meter. And
Yes.
the meter, we read it. And then that's, I don't think they received any high cards for the.
We did not receive any high
Everyone
cards.
else did, because it was going down. I mean, it wasn't continuous.
yes. So, if I may jump off that, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's right.
Would it be possible in the future, especially since, as I can see here, you do get this information, whenever there is a case where usage spikes from, say, on the 5th of June, it was 100, so actually no, that's not the one I want to highlight, because there's one where it's actually really obvious. When the usage jumps from, on June 25th, from 70 gallons to the next day, 1,080 gallons, is there any possibility, especially once you get the new system up and running, to potentially essentially send a message to the homeowner?
We have almost 4,000 customers.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for us to, on a daily basis, tell whether you're using a lot of water or a little. And while we're recording that, we aren't scrutinizing every usage of all 4,000 customers. So the answer is probably not.
I'm mostly asking this as when you're setting up your new system, there is likely a way of doing that programmatically. There's likely a way of.
This is our finance officer, Ginny,
Hello.
and she's going to speak to your question.
Once the new system is up and running, the homeowner will actually be able to log in and look at their water usage on a daily basis.
Well, the one difficulty I have with that, and I'm sorry if I'm going to go into technical design things. I used to work as a software designer, so that's how I think. Is that while, for example, my friend over here or myself, like we would think to log in and check on a regular. For most homeowners, I don't think they would check unless they've already received a excessive water bill or have received a high usage card. I think that if there is any way, when you're in discussion with the people who are designing the system, to have them like programmatically notice discrepancies in usage and send out the email, I'm sure many times that's going to result in people getting like, oh yeah, sorry, I had family over and they're like, someone broke the toilet and we got it fixed. But sometimes you're going to get people going like, oh, I didn't know that we had like problems. Thank you for letting me know, rather than having that message be received at the end of the year with, oh, I'm paying 4 times as much this year because I apparently doubled the lifetime water usage in my house. I'm at this point, especially after the previous discussions, fully aware that I'm not going to be you are going to deny my appeal, especially since I don't have nearly as much of the information they had, because I will admit I came a little bit less prepared. I only really have this, which is I took manual notes of what the water meter
I
said.
appreciate you doing that. I mean, the reason our pricing system is the way it is so people conserve water,
Yes.
so that you don't use.
I'm aware of the rationale, and I mostly agree with it. I just think that it would be, of actually best for conservation purposes and best for the people using water if we got warned sooner. But that's just my place. I think that if you ask whoever is designing the system to look into that, that shouldn't be that hard to implement.
Well, I do understand that there will be an alarm system that we will be notified on a daily basis of certain cases. I do not know that criteria right at the moment, but I will take that under advisement and share your thoughts.
Jeannie, to piggyback on what this gentleman is saying, is there a way for us to, when we look at the system, since it's something in the process, maybe shooting out an email to the homeowners for those that have email, or is there a way for us to do it? There are some people who don't have email and like a robocall, like it's that.
That's why we sent the postcard.
Yeah, but the postcard can come a week after and the 12 flap's been closed already, so it,
Yeah,
or
that
open,
would be
close.
very helpful.
Is there a way to do something like
Which is-
that where there's like a,
4,000.
press a button and the robocall goes, please check your water, your usage was high today, end of list,
And sorry, just to jump on to your comment that there's 4,000 users. The thing about the reason why I'm suggesting doing it programmatically is because then there would be no additional work on your part. It would happen automatically in those cases, and especially if it was an email or a robocall, that would also require no additional work to notify or no additional cost. I'm trying to make this as attractive as possible to you people.
I will verify with
So-
Greg.
so-
I don't know all the ins and outs, but I'll verify with Greg and I'll take
just
the
something to
comments.
look
Jen,
at,
yeah.
'cause
So we appreciate your suggestions, because this is a difficult, we're all citizens, we are not paid by the city, we're
We all pay too.
we're just here as a citizen board to make decisions. But as I said, we also have a fiduciary responsibility to the city to make decisions that don't impact the systems that we have.
Yes.
So I think you're right that it's unlikely that we're going to reduce your bill, but I think at this point, I'm going to entertain a motion.
Yeah.
Which way are we going to go here?
I do it.
I guess I have a question, sir. It's mentioned here that, this is from your mom, that I think you mentioned as well that we had someone come to check and there was no, did you have any proof that someone did come and check?
Sadly, no. I paid cash, which is normally how I would pay the handyman, and I don't have a receipt.
Oh, you mean one of our people came?
No, we had our handyman come and check for the leaks. We did have people from the city come and check the meter, but as you are aware, the meter came back squeaky clean and fine. So, and actually, just as an additional comment, I think that one of the things that should be considered, and I know you're not going to consider it in my case, because again, as you've mentioned, this is not entirely within your power to do so. I think there needs to be consideration, especially since, like for example, in my case, when I was keeping track of my water usage, it appears that the problem, like any problems that the meter might have had, stopped being a problem end of last year or really early this year. There's entirely a possibility that a meter might have had an issue, and then, like for example, maybe something was caught in the flow reading. I'm not an expert on meters. I can't actually speak to how they work, but there could, for example, have been something jammed in an area that would restrict the flow, and it's flowing more quickly, clearly more gallons are going through, or something. That might not be a problem. I think that that's something that a more frequent notification of like, oh, we're getting weird readings from you, would help, because then you can have someone come in and check the meter when the problem's actually happening and not after the fact or something that happened last year.
Thank you. Those are all very good thoughts. So,
Make a motion, we deny the appeal.
I'll second it.
do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Additional discussion?
Chair Rice? Yes. Commissioner Muller?
Thank you so much for
Commissioner
coming in.
Yes.
Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, this gentleman, before he leaves, it's a $2,000-something bill that he said he's gonna have trouble
Oh,
paying.
yes.
Can we get him a
You
payment
do
plan?
have time to pay your bill, and you will, the finance office is 432-0560,
0560.
Sorry, give me a second, can you repeat that?
right?
Okay.
And
And it's right
you
on
just
your
call
water.
them and
All right.
we'll work out a payment schedule for you.
Okay.
So you don't have to pay it all at one time unless you want to.
All right. I will pass that on to the actual homeowner, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank
And I hope that your appeal goes better than mine.
Have a good day.
All right, sir, come on up. So sorry. You are here for,
Ask for the properties, 459 Chestnut.
okay, yours is very easy.
Yeah, it's not mechanical.
No. This gentleman called the water department to have two properties, water shut off, only one was done.
Yes.
He had a frozen meter and a leak, he got a big bill. It was entirely our error, and therefore I make a motion that we charge him the minimum for this year, which is $250 for sewer and $228 for water.
I'll second it.
28.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be $478,
That's your motion?
yes.
I second it.
Really?
Do I get
It was
payment
us
plan?
entirely.
No, I'm only kidding.
I'm sorry to make you wait so long, but-
No, thank you so much, I really appreciate it.
Oh, wait,
Was it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Not official yet.
I wait for the motion.
Jump the gun.
Commissioner Palmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Now it's official.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, have a pleasant
All
night.
right, now we're on to 269 Main Street.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we could have the exact same discussion, and
This one is a little bit different.
What we're doing now?
oh, let's, just a minute, I think I passed out the spreadsheet for 269.
Yes, we have it.
Yes, this looks like something happened at the end of the year.
Yes, and that's where our concern lies, is December of 2021. So, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with our company, United Student Rentals, but we do solely students. We do have our local tenants as 15 Susquehanna. So, what happens is when our students go home for break, being that it's winter time, I schedule for our maintenance staff to do a walkthrough of their apartments. These particular tenants, we have, it's two apartments, 2 3-bedroom apartments, and then there's a tattoo shop on the first floor, commercial space. So just toilet and shower in there. Or not shower, sink, I'm sorry. Our tenants vacated the building for the winter break on December 12th, okay? Our reading is 63,250. On the 15th, my maintenance staff did a walkthrough of the building to check for particular things, running toilets, leaks, to make sure the heat was not turned down below 50 degrees. Nothing was found. So this reading is basically saying that 63,000 gallons were used in 12 days before the tenants left, and they didn't return until January 27th, when classes resumed. And the gentleman downstairs in the tattoo shop, I mean, he's very, very reliable man. I mean, he calls me if a light bulb flickers. So I feel like if there was a running toilet in his apartment or his shop, we would have known about it. And like I said, my maintenance walked through this building after the tenants had left, found nothing, and nobody was there. And that's our concern with that one. I mean, nobody was in the building other than a gentleman tattooing. So I'm not sure.
One of the things that was interesting to us is that when the students were out of the apartment during the month of June and July and August, you still had flow. Now, that was probably the tattoo parlor, right?
Yes, I'm sure that there was probably some sort of flow just because he is there. I mean, I don't know his hours. I know that he's more of a private
But it
schedule
was
kind of
pretty
guy.
consistently 300 gallons.
Yes.
300 gallons, 300 gallons, almost every day, 300 gallons.
Yes.
And then your higher usage, I mean, the only really, really high usage you had was after they left.
They left.
And that's what we got. I mean, other than that, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, and that's really the only concern that the homeowner had was, I mean, they left on the 12th
And we
there's
apparently had a leak
63,000 usage.
after that, I know. Because otherwise,
Yeah, but they increased in November. Am I looking at the right one?
Because somebody did.
I mean, November was 29,000, but I mean, we have 6 students in that building.
yeah,
So I know, there's 3 girls in one apartment, there's 3 boys in the other apartment. I'm not being unrealistic. I know that they use water, I know they take long showers, but like I said, my concern was the fact that nobody
well,
was
and
there.
all I can say is, we don't know what it was either. It was very, very consistent the whole year until that last week.
Yeah.
And that's what put you over
No.
the big number.
No laundry in the building, nothing of the sorts. And my maintenance staff checked it 3 days after they were gone. I mean,
Well, obviously, that week.
Yeah, it's really that week that put them over that.
But they're not consistent. We're looking at the right thing?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was just 6 So their numbers are high all through when students are here, from
Yeah.
August
yeah,
all the way through December.
right. But they've got really high.
in
the-
December.
The 12th, the 13th, the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, the
12 to 7,
17th,
sorry, okay.
the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, the
Now I see it, now you
22nd,
said the
the
dates.
23rd, and the 26th. And then they were fine. So, I mean, in the year before, the 2 years before, it was COVID. So you were probably not too heavily rented.
No, the year before, we were only 1 less student than what we are now. There were total of 5 students in the building. And then the year before that, 2019, I don't believe I could speak on because I don't think we were managing the property at that time.
I don't know what went on, but something did. And your usage isn't, the rest of the time, your usage would have brought you probably to 800 for water and 800 for sewer. So you're not that much higher than you probably would have been with the consistency of the usage. I personally think if all you had during the summer was your tattoo people, you had a leak someplace because he wouldn't have used 300 gallons a day.
Okay.
That's all I can surmise from your own reporting. I think in this case, we probably are not going to make any changes. I'm sorry, but we're probably not. I don't know what happened. I'm glad you're monitoring it. We don't want you to use any more water than you have to.
Do you know when, I know it's a process and it's probably a lot of work, but do we have a timeline as far as the online monitoring goes, or is it still kind of in the works?
Yeah, no, we don't have a timeline on it yet.
Here's a question. You might not know the answer. I have 40-some properties that we manage. Can I look up all 40-some properties under one account? Like if I log in with my United Student Rentals email,
No,
so I have to make 40?
Yeah, my guess would be no. I don't, but I do not know how the program's going to
Okay.
work yet. I don't know if it's going to be under owner's name, and then if you put the owner's name in, they all come up, or if it'll be under resident,
Yeah.
or
I have to make 40
It may
accounts.
be more, it may be more like, you know when you do a property search for the county
Yes.
property taxes?
Yes.
You just have to keep going, you find the owner, and then you just keep going back.
So
to
would it
different
would
properties.
be more
It
like
may be,
a
I don't
public
know, but
information, or would you physically log in?
Let's vote.
again,
Physically,
yeah, I think
okay.
you would physically log in.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I'll
Thank
make a
you.
motion to
Okay, we'll
deny.
make Andrew make a
Oh,
motion.
sorry.
Go ahead and go.
I'll second Andrew's motion that he just made.
We're just
Thank
voting.
you. No, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes,
Right. Chair Martic?
yes.
Commissioner Palmer? Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
We don't have all the details yet, and,
We are gonna delay our decision on 15 Susquehanna.
Okay.
We've made some changes, but I think we need to talk to our people a little longer based on the things that you brought to us.
Okay.
So we'll probably not consider it again until July,
Okay.
and, I mean, that's when our next meeting is, July.
July. Okay, so no June, right?
No June.
Okay. All right.
June.
So we'll be notified of the next meeting?
Yes, you will.
Okay.
Yes, you will.
All right.
So I make a motion that we table 15 Susquehanna for more information, or to get a more detailed description of the electronic meters.
Because we're going to do the 3-year
to do 3 years.
average.
Yes, 15 Susquehanna until July meeting.
I make that motion. That's a good idea. Yeah.
The 3-year average is still on the table, or?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we're
Postpone motion and approve that, the 3-year look back.
Oh, we did?
Yes.
Oh, well, then we don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
All right, well, I voted against it, that's why I'm not remembering. Okay, we're good.
Oh,
You're
so
good.
nothing in July?
No.
Okay.
We'll probably still consult with our people, but.
So the bill,
How about you all step outside?
yes,
and
can I speak with you for one moment? Sorry.
Yeah, that's-
Thank you so much.
Now
Have a good
we
night.
consider Hill Place. So, Stephen, you're on.
I just had a quick question.
Hill Place. Yeah, we're in Hill Place. I gotta get home to my poor husband. Tough child.
It's a Freehold place, pretty straightforward.
Okay, we're gonna look at some pictures. We have an unsafe declaration at the very end of your packet. Middle.
It's the backyard.
It is, where is it?
The letter.
It's right before the verbiage.
Okay, well, I got it. Okay, so talk to us, oh, my goodness.
Lord almighty.
Where is that?
Free Hill Place.
This is kind of a funny one, because no one actually called it a complaint, we just found us on our own, so it's kind of weird.
Okay. Oh, look,
How do the neighbors not complain? There's literal garbage there.
Why is there a
probably
coat
fenced
there?
in.
I mean,
It's
Hazel's.
in the back, what's in the back, but still, you could, I mean, it's Hill Place, so the houses are 10 feet off each other, I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, that is awful.
Okay, keep going through the pictures.
That's
That's
what
it?
this is for.
They're,
So why can't you just pick it up outside?
it's all in the backyard fenced in.
Oh, so you need us to declare it
So,
safe?
what we have going on here is it's a vacant property
Oh, it's
that we
vacant.
believe trespassers are just dumping in. We secured a warrant this morning to enter the property and remove all the garbage, but we would like an unsafe declaration as well in order to vacate, so that there's no confusion as to what's going on. So yeah, this isn't a rental, it's a vacant property that's in foreclosure. People just, we assume people have just started squatting there and dumping stuff.
Okay,
But the court was on the city side this morning, so.
That's good.
all right, so Under Chapter 92, we have the responsibility to first examine the evidence and determine whether the property falls under any of the criteria under Chapter 92-1. If that's the case, then we have a second motion which determines what our order is for the city to take action against the property. So the Code Enforcement Office has identified D, E, I, J, and K as items that are consistent with the condition of the property. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Okay, I make a motion that we declare this property unsafe based on D, E, I, J, and K.
I'll be glad to second it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Chair Martin?
Yes?
Commissioner Palmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamlin?
Definitely.
Okay, based on that determination,
Well, the city has already
if a
gotten.
property is vacant for more than 5 years, it automatically has an order. I think, no, case for building permit here. Okay, I think what we're going to do is make a motion to repair the property in that we can clean all of the accumulated trash around the outside of the property, and then order it vacated by whoever is living there, and secure the property from entry.
By what date?
Pardon me?
We have a date, do it by what, a good date?
Well, the cleanup how soon do you think we can make arrangements for the cleanup?
So we secured a warrant this morning. We're waiting on the police department to kind of outline how that's gonna play out, so it'll be within the next 5 days. I mean, we're gonna go do it.
Are you gonna clean it up? Can you clean it up within the next 5 days? If we order it?
I mean, I would say 30 days, because the warrant provides us access for 30 days.
Okay.
It's realistic, okay.
All right, so in both cases, both cleaned up and vacated, 30 days.
Okay.
And we're gonna secure it as well.
And we're gonna secure the building against entry. Will you come back to us at our next meeting, which is
July
45 days
7th.
away?
July 7th.
July 7th. In case we need to blight it. Okay, there was some talk about doing that at this meeting. I don't think we're ready.
Yeah.
So let's think about that in terms of the next meeting. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Oh, I make a motion that we declare the reorder it repaired and vacated within 30 days.
And
Secured.
secured, yes.
I second it.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion?
Find out where it's going.
Chair Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamlin?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything further you need from us? Do we have any other reports that we need to get from you?
I have a question. My lovely friend on Chestnut, what is up with that? Because we,
Oh, is
well,
this,
What number,
Gerster?
yes, Gilster.
Which one, what chestnut?
Galster.
Okay.
Galster.
It's not my same one I was thinking about, hold on.
He has,
It's not cleaned up yet. Now we got a bench across the front of it, and
Just sitting there.
stuff is still in the house because they're not in their house yet, like he promised was gonna be. So how does that work? And there's a bunch of junk in the back.
Yeah, we contacted him about, he's now got some abandoned cars there, I
Yep.
think. that we-
Yeah. Truck's been there for a good month and a half.
The junk road
Yeah.
the other day too.
he's blighted, so we can begin to charge him for blighting.
Well, I think the board had given him some sort of
Yeah.
extension on that.
The last 2 meetings ago, I didn't, but the rest of them.
Okay, well, feel free to make a motion to reinstate the blighting.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reinstate the blighting on 3, what's the number?
I don't know.
15.
The Gouster property
No,
on,
3, it's 300. It's
I will second that.
50 something.
on,
Yeah, can I suggest
Chestnut.
something? Chestnut.
and we have a second from Madeline.
Yep.
Okay, we want to send a letter to Mr. Gouster saying that based on his failure to comply with the order of the Board of Public Service, we have reinstated his blighting.
I believe it was 30 days we gave him. I can go back to my notes.
We did that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Ritchie?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowman?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Anything else? Mr. Hamel, Andrew has something he would like to share with the board.
In an executive
If
session.
there's no other business before us, go ahead.
Can I discuss it in an executive session?
Oh, well, part of it, you were going to share with us, not an executive session.
I was gonna share it within executive session because I didn't want the whole public to know about it.
Oh, okay, you don't want it in the minutes?
No.
Okay, well then, let's call this meeting to close, and then you can share with us with just us. Okay? Anything?
Oh, wait, we have to approve minutes.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I kept them here so I wouldn't forget.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the May, no,
No.
From April and April.
April 7th.
Yeah.
okay.
I second it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sorry.
Thank you, Dana, for keeping me on track.
Chairman Ritchie?
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
So